During a Zoom call at work, I noticed my wife's reflection in the mirror behind me. She wasn't alone. I turned around. She smiled, whispered, "Don't blow this," and walked into the bedroom with him. Hey there. We're working hard to hit our first 1,000 subscribers. If you love true, emotional stories, hit that subscribe button. It helps more than you know. Now let's get into the story. It happened in the middle of a Zoom meeting. Not during an argument. Not during some dramatic confrontation. Just Tuesday, 11:17 a.m. I was presenting a quarterly report to my team, my boss, my coworkers, half of corporate. My camera was on, shirt buttoned up, hair fixed, background set up in my home office. Nothing unusual. But behind me, in the mirror hanging across the hallway, I saw movement. At first, I thought maybe it was just Eva, my wife, walking by like she usually did. Maybe getting laundry or grabbing coffee, whatever. But this wasn't just her. There was someone else. A guy, close behind her. I blinked, focused, and I swear to you, he looked comfortable, like he belonged there, like this wasn't some accident. I tried to keep talking, kept showing slides, but my voice started sounding robotic, even to myself. I was barely hearing what I was saying. I was watching that mirror like it was the only thing in the room. Then she stepped into full view, into the doorway, right behind me. She didn't flinch, didn't even try to hide. She stared directly at me, at the back of my head, through the mirror, and smirked. And that's when she said it. Low, cold, like it was some kind of game. "Don't blow this." Then she turned around and walked into the bedroom. With him. I didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at that mirror like it had punched me in the face. No one on the Zoom call seemed to notice. Or maybe they did, and just didn't say anything. I somehow finished the meeting, said, "Thanks everyone," and clicked leave. I don't remember what I said in the last 5 minutes. I couldn't hear anything but the blood pounding in my ears. I just sat there at my desk, motionless. Like maybe if I didn't move, I could rewind the last 90 seconds. Like maybe it didn't actually happen. But it did. An hour passed before I left my office. I didn't know what I was expecting. Maybe an apology. Maybe an explanation. Maybe some kind of awful, twisted joke. But when I walked into the kitchen, there she was, Eva, standing by the stove, casually stirring tea like she hadn't just completely shattered our marriage in real time. She didn't even look surprised to see me. I cleared my throat. "Who was that?" I asked. My voice didn't even sound like mine. It was flat, hollow. She didn't look at me, didn't stop stirring. "You really want to do this now?" she asked, like I was being dramatic. That was the first blow. Not the cheating, not the betrayal, but the indifference. The way she looked at me like I'd just interrupted her favorite song. I stood there, just staring at her. "Eva, I saw him. I heard you." She shrugged. And that was it. No denial. No panic. "No, it's not what you think." Just a shrug and a question. Like I was the one overreacting. I felt something twist in my chest. Not pain, something colder. Numb almost. "You're not even going to explain?" I asked. She finally looked up at me and said, "We've both been bored. Don't act like you haven't felt it too." Bored. She called it boredom. Like she'd picked up a hobby. Like she just got into pottery or puzzles or something. But this was calculated. Deliberate. Done right behind my back while I was working. While I was paying our bills. While I was trying to hold it all together. And she didn't even flinch. That night, I couldn't sleep. I laid there next to her in bed, not saying a word. Her back was to me. She was already snoring softly, like nothing had happened. I turned over, opened the drawer on my side of the bed. Needed some water. But as I reached in, I noticed something new. A second toothbrush. Not mine. Not hers. His. And next to it, a deodorant stick I didn't recognize. A pair of cufflinks I didn't own. A watch I'd never seen before. I didn't touch any of it. I just sat there, staring into that drawer like it was a black hole. He wasn't a visitor. He wasn't a mistake. He was established. This had been going on. For weeks. Maybe longer. And the truth hit me like a brick. I hadn't just been betrayed. I'd been replaced. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the toothbrush. The drawer. That line, "Don't blow this." It kept echoing in my head like a joke I wasn't in on. Eva was out cold beside me, breathing deep, like she hadn't just shoved a knife through my spine 12 hours earlier. I didn't wake her. I didn't ask anything else. I just kept turning everything over in my mind. I started thinking back, Little moments that didn't add up before suddenly snapped into place. She used to laugh at her phone at night and tilt the screen away when I walked by. She started showering late. Really late. Like 1 a.m. She suddenly cared a lot more about her appearance before book club. I thought she was just trying to feel good about herself. I supported her. I told her she looked amazing. And the whole time, it wasn't for me. It never was. The next morning, I played it cool. I had no plan yet. No lawyer. No dramatic exit. No confrontational speech. But I watched. Closely. She made coffee like she always did. She even kissed me on the cheek. And I let her. I don't know why. Maybe because I wanted to see how far she'd go. Or maybe because I wanted to remember what it felt like to be kissed by someone who could lie like it was breathing. That afternoon, I noticed her phone buzzing while she was in the shower. I shouldn't have looked. I know. But I did. One message. You free later? No name. Just a heart emoji. I locked the screen and set the phone back down. I didn't even need to see more. He was still around. Still in the picture. Still waiting like some shadow I couldn't get rid of. 3 nights later, I got confirmation. I was working late in the study. The house was quiet. I figured she'd gone to bed. Around 11:30 p.m., I stepped out to grab a glass of water, and I froze. There were 2 wine glasses on the coffee table. Both used. Still half full. Her phone was face down. And there was an extra pair of shoes by the door. Men's shoes. Black, expensive, not mine. My blood ran cold. I walked back into the hallway, slower this time. I could hear muffled voices coming from the bedroom. I didn't go in. I couldn't. It wasn't because I was afraid of what I'd see. It was because I already knew what I'd see. She didn't even bother hiding it. He was in our house. Probably sitting on our bed. Probably using my pillow. And I just stood there, in the hallway, realizing something so much worse than cheating had happened. She had stopped respecting me. The next morning, she was alone again. He must have left before sunrise. I didn't mention the shoes, the wine glasses, the voices. I just made my coffee and stared at her. She didn't look guilty, didn't act nervous. It hit me again. This wasn't some accident. This wasn't a mistake she regretted. This was a life she'd already chosen. I just hadn't been told. So I asked her again, quietly, while she was buttering toast. How long? She looked up like I'd asked her what time it was. What do you mean? You know what I mean. You and whoever he is. She took a bite of toast and chewed slowly, like she was thinking about how much to say. Then she just said it. Long enough for it to matter less than you think it does. That line. That 1F asterisk 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 ing line. Like I was just some old wallpaper she hadn't taken down yet. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because if I didn't laugh, I was going to break something. I got up, grabbed my keys, drove around for hours. Didn't even know where I was going. I just needed to breathe air that wasn't soaked in lies. Later that day, I started texting a few mutual friends. I didn't ask directly, just casual stuff. You ever met Eva's friend Ryan? Has she mentioned anything lately? Radio silence. One friend replied, Bro, I don't want to get involved. Just be careful. Be careful? What the hell did that mean? I called him. He didn't answer. Then I checked Instagram. She'd posted a photo a few weeks back. Caption, wine and peace. There were 2 glasses in the shot. 2 plates. 2 sets of silverware. And one hand holding hers from across the table. The hand had a tattoo I recognized. Ryan. Her ex. The one she swore was a blip. The one she said she hadn't seen in years. So he wasn't new. He was recycled. And I was the idiot who kept the seat warm while she brought him back. You ever have that moment where you stop asking yourself if someone betrayed you and start wondering how many people knew? That's where I was. I wasn't heartbroken anymore. I wasn't shocked. I wasn't even angry. I was numb. There's something quiet and terrifying about numbness. It's not the storm. It's the silence after. That week, I started testing the waters. I didn't storm into rooms demanding answers. I just started watching, really watching. People's reactions. What they said. What they didn't say. First up, Eva's best friend, Claire. She and I used to get along great. Always joked around, shared memes, that kind of thing. But lately, cold shoulder. Short replies. Never made eye contact. So I called her. Just straight up asked. Hey, random question. Do you know someone named Ryan? She hesitated. I could hear her eyes widening through the phone. Eva mentioned him once or twice. What? Just curious. He's been around the house a bit. Silence. Then, I didn't think it was serious. Look, maybe you should talk to Eva. Translation, She knew. She'd always known. Claire wasn't just a bystander. She was part of the cover. The next day, I went to Eva's parents' place for her dad's birthday dinner. I figured, what the hell, I'd play along one more time. Just to see. Her sister, Michelle, hugged me and said, "I'm glad you're still holding it together." I raised an eyebrow. Why wouldn't I be? She flinched. Actually flinched. Oh, just saying. You always seem so calm. That's when it clicked. They knew, too. Everyone was playing a part in this script where I was the clueless husband. The sideshow. The last to know. I wasn't just betrayed by one person. I was surrounded by an audience that had been watching this whole thing like it was reality TV. 2 nights later, I was scrolling through my emails at work when a message popped up. It was from my coworker Greg, the guy who'd been on that Zoom call the day I saw them in the mirror. Subject line: "Hey man, not my business, but..." Message: "Not sure what I saw during your call last week. Looked like someone behind you. Thought you were alone. Just wanted to make sure everything's cool." I stared at that email for 5 straight minutes. He saw it too. It wasn't in my head. It wasn't a trick of the light. It wasn't paranoia. I almost replied, but I didn't. What was I gonna say? "Yeah, Greg. Turns out my wife's banging her ex while I run budget reports. Thanks for checking in." No. I deleted it. Let him keep wondering. By this point, I had no illusions left. She was cheating. Her friends knew. Her sister knew. Now I knew. But the biggest blow hadn't landed yet. That came when I finally did what I swore I wouldn't. I opened her laptop. I wasn't looking for revenge. I just needed the truth. I needed to stop guessing. Stop pretending maybe it wasn't that bad. She always left her email logged in. I clicked it open. Scrolled through the inbox. Nothing. But then I searched one word. Ryan. Boom. Over 60 emails. Some short. Some long. Some explicit. All from one account. They were planning weekends. Hiding anniversaries. She'd even forwarded him my vacation calendar, so they could plan around it. And then I saw one subject line that made me lean back like I'd been slapped. "Still sleeping next to him?" Her reply? "For now. Don't worry. He's basically furniture at this point." That one burned. Not because it was crude, but because it was so casual. Like I wasn't even a person anymore. Just part of the decor. That night, I didn't say a word. I laid next to her again. Quiet. She rolled over, pulled the blanket over herself, and mumbled, "Good night." I looked at her. Really looked at her. For the first time in weeks. And I thought, "You're not my wife anymore. You're just a stranger I know too well." I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just made a promise to myself. Next time you leave this house, it'll be for good. I didn't sleep that night either. But this time, it wasn't out of shock. It was strategy. I laid in bed with Eva snoring next to me, and my mind was moving like I was on autopilot. Cold. Focused. Like someone had flipped a switch. I wasn't going to confront her anymore. I wasn't going to ask for the truth. That ship had sunk. The only thing I cared about now was the exit. But not just any exit. A clean one. One she wouldn't see coming. So the next morning, I played my role. Kissed her forehead. Made coffee. Told her I'd be working late. She smiled like everything was normal. Like I wasn't 2 steps ahead. And that's when I started building my escape. Step 1 was the bank accounts. We had a joint one we'd used for years. Groceries, bills, trips. I quietly opened a new account at a different bank. Transferred my paycheck into it. Canceled the automatic transfers to the joint account. Eva didn't notice. Or if she did, she didn't say anything. I also changed the passwords on everything with my name. Credit cards, health insurance, even the damn Netflix account. Call it petty, but it felt like taking back pieces of myself. Step 2, evidence. I started taking screenshots of those emails. Saved them to a USB drive. Printed out a few of the worst ones and locked them in my car's glove box. Just in case. I wasn't sure I'd use them, but having them made me feel less powerless. Then I did something I should have done months ago. I looked up Ryan. I didn't know his last name, just that he used to date Eva before me. She'd always brushed it off. Said he was immature and clingy and just a weird phase. I figured he moved away. Wrong. Turns out, he was very much in the same city. Owned a small business. A landscaping company. I looked at the address listed online. Then I looked at the hoodie he'd left on our coat rack last week when I pretended not to notice. It had the company's logo on it. That wasn't an accident. That wasn't carelessness. That was territory marking. Ryan was proud of being the other man. And then, I saw something that twisted my stomach. On the company's website, there was a Meet the Team page. Smiling headshots. About us bios. And under Ryan's photo was a note. Proud to be a part of the family legacy. I believe in loyalty, growth, and second chances. Family legacy. Loyalty. Second chances. I don't know why those words hit me so hard. Maybe because I realized he knew me. Maybe not by name, but he knew I existed. He knew Eva was married. And he didn't care. Worse, maybe he thought he was rescuing her from something. That night, I couldn't pretend anymore. I told Eva I was going to visit my brother for the weekend. Just needed space. She nodded, barely looked up from her phone. She probably thought it was perfect. Thought she'd get the house to herself. Maybe even invited him over again. But I wasn't going to my brother's. I booked a hotel 5 blocks away. Checked in with one bag and my USB stick. And then I made an appointment with a lawyer. I explained everything. Calmly. Quietly. No drama. She listened. Nodded. Asked questions. Took notes. When I showed her the printed emails, she looked up and said, "You're not just preparing for divorce. You're preparing for leverage." That's smart. I nodded. I didn't want revenge. I wanted control. After months of being lied to in my own house, I was done reacting. I was going to act. Before I left the office, the lawyer handed me a folder and said, "When you're ready, give her this. Then walk away. She'll understand what's coming." I didn't even open the folder. I just slid it into my bag next to the USB and drove back toward home. Not to move back in, just to look one last time. From down the street, I could see the lights on, the TV flickering through the window, the shadow of 2 people moving around the kitchen. She'd moved on. I hadn't even left 24 hours ago, and he was already in my house. I didn't knock, didn't text, didn't rage. I just turned the car around and drove back to the hotel, sat down on the edge of the bed, and smiled. Because I realized something. I didn't lose her. I escaped her. I stayed in that hotel for 3 more nights. No texts. No calls. I didn't check her socials. Didn't ask if she missed me. I didn't care anymore. Something inside me had gone silent, and it felt good. Peaceful. The lawyer had said, "Don't rush it. You only get one chance to leave right." She was right. So I waited. And while I waited, I finished the final pieces. I gathered everything she didn't think I had. Screenshots of texts I'd airdropped from her phone. Voicemails she didn't know had saved to our cloud. A photo of Ryan's jacket in our entryway, timestamped. And the big one, a copy of the mortgage papers she never signed. Turns out, the house wasn't legally in both our names. She'd never followed through. Said she trusted me to handle the boring stuff. Funny how that worked out. Saturday morning, I drove back to the house. I didn't knock. I didn't even go inside. I just parked across the street and waited. After 10 minutes, I saw Ryan's car pull out of the driveway. He didn't even glance around. Just drove off, probably feeling like he'd won something. Then I walked up the steps, calm as anything, and slid the envelope under the door. The folder the lawyer had prepped. Divorce papers. Evidence packet. Separation of assets. Statement of intent. Everything laid out and notarized. And one handwritten note on top. Just 5 words. I hope he was worth it. Then I walked away. No big speech. No final argument. No closure scene. Because what do you say to someone who smiled while walking into the bedroom with someone else? What's left to talk about? I moved my things into a rental apartment the next day. Nothing fancy. 1 bedroom. Plain walls. But I could breathe. And for the first time in months, I didn't wake up with a pit in my stomach. I went to work like nothing had happened. Smiled at people. Ate lunch alone. Came home and watched dumb movies without anyone sighing or rolling their eyes. It was simple, and simple had never felt so good. But of course, it didn't stay quiet. 3 days later, she called. I didn't answer. She called again, then texted, "We need to talk. This is all happening too fast." I stared at the screen for a while, then muted it. A few hours later, another message. "Please, at least explain why you're doing this." I actually laughed. Out loud. As if the mirror, the emails, the toothbrush, the wine glasses, the man in our bedroom weren't reason enough. No, I wasn't explaining anything. That was the whole point. Let her sit in silence now. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. When I listened back, I almost couldn't believe it. It was Ryan. His voice was calm, but you could hear the edge in it. "Look, man, I think we should talk. I'm not trying to disrespect you. Things just got out of hand. I didn't plan for it to be like this. Maybe we can meet. Grab a drink." I sat there with my mouth open. A drink? With the guy who was sleeping with my wife? In my house. Under my roof? Using my Netflix account? I deleted the voicemail. Didn't respond. I wasn't giving him, or her, the dignity of a reaction. But here's the kicker. The next morning, Eva showed up at my apartment. I hadn't given her the address, but she found it anyway. I heard the knock, looked through the peephole, and yeah, there she was. No makeup, hair messy, hoodie and leggings. She looked small, nervous, like someone who wasn't used to being ignored. I opened the door, but only halfway. She looked up at me and said, "Can we just talk? Please." And for a moment, I almost said yes. But then I remembered something she once said to me, months ago, when I caught her texting someone late at night. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're imagining things. Don't embarrass yourself." So I leaned against the door and replied, "I already talked. With a lawyer. Papers are under your couch by now." She blinked. "Ryan's not who I thought he was." I shrugged. "Neither are you." And then I closed the door. Didn't slam it. Just closed it. It's been just over a year now. 12 months since I slid that folder under the door. Since I left my key on the counter and walked away from a marriage that, honestly, probably ended long before that Zoom call. People always talk about heartbreak like it hits you in one big crash, like a dramatic explosion. But mine ended in silence. In a mirror, with a smirk and 5 quiet words. "Don't blow this." Eva tried to come back 3 more times. Once through a long email that started with, "I've done a lot of thinking," and ended with a line that made me snort out loud. "I think we were both lost, but I'm ready to try again if you are." She sent pictures of old vacations. Reminded me of memories we had. Beaches, holidays, the dog we raised together. She tried nostalgia. She tried guilt. None of it worked. I didn't respond. A few months after that, I got a message from Michelle, Eva's sister. She said, "You probably don't care anymore, but I thought you should know he left. Ryan. Gone. No warning, no goodbye. Just ghosted. Apparently, he emptied her savings account. Took a loan in her name. Used her car while he still had his own stashed under someone else's name. The guy was a scammer. Not just emotionally. Financially. Legally. I wasn't surprised. Eva always said he was charming. Now she gets to find out how that charm works when it's pointed at her instead of through her. Karma doesn't always show up on time, but it always shows up eventually. The thing is, I didn't feel happy when I found out he burned her. I didn't cheer. I didn't gloat. I didn't tell anyone, "I told you so." I felt nothing. By then, I was already living a different life. I moved cities, changed jobs, grew out my beard, got a cat, started seeing someone new, not serious, not intense, just easy, peaceful, and more than anything, honest. We talk. We laugh. We say what we feel. She doesn't hide her phone. I don't hide my scars. We're 2 broken people trying not to hurt each other. And for now, that's more than enough. Every once in a while, I still think about that day. That Zoom meeting. That mirror. That reflection. Eva's face. That smug, bored little smile. Her whisper, "Don't blow this." It makes me smile now. Because I didn't blow it. I didn't explode. I didn't grovel. I didn't beg her to choose me. I left. I walked. And while she was so sure she had the upper hand, I was already packing mine. The day I stopped fighting for her was the day I started fighting for me. So if you're reading this, and you're where I was, sitting in silence, staring at someone who doesn't see you anymore, let me say this. You're not crazy. You're not weak. And no, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. Walk. Quietly. Carefully. Calmly. And when they finally notice you're gone, let the silence speak for you. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.